Our CD of the Week feature is the latest release by the Montreal-based group Pryvit. Released just this fall, the CD is titled Zaklикання, Remember Me, and it's the group's second. Закликання was a long time coming, and thanks to the wonders of email technology, I was very fortunate to have been kept apprised of its progress by one of the members of Pryvit, Roman Kostyk. I caught up with Roman last week by telephone at his home in Montreal to find out a bit about Pryvit and their delightful CD, Закликання. Hi, Roman. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, congratulations on the release of the CD, Naрешті.
Yes, I think we're following the road of Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses. 16 years later, we'll probably have another one.
Now, there's a little bit of a story behind this CD. You started working on it, about 2 years ago?
Well, originally this CD was actually slated, or a variation of this CD was slated to come up around 98. And then all kinds of things happened within the group, health reasons, people moving to other places, people losing jobs. And the ensemble kind of started to disintegrate, and all the music we had prepared had to be dropped, and we had to sort of start from scratch. And then we reassembled and came back as a quartet. Most people know us as a duo from our first CD. Mm-hmm. But we only lasted as a duo for about 2 years after we let out the CD, and we slowly progressed from trio to quartet, and then actually at one point we even a quintet with another instrumentalist with us. And then after the situation in 2000 to 2003, we reassembled as a quartet for one-on concert for the Montreal Ukrainian Festival, which was starting at that time. The next year, we didn't perform, and then when we did reform in about 2005, it was as the trio that's now recorded the album. And even this album had a false start. This album should have been finished in 2007.
Mm. Well, fortunately, it did come out this past fall, and now it's getting distribution. And with your first CD, Берег надії, it was Shores of Hope, and that's the one you were talking about, where it was just the two of you and Mark Bednarchuk.
That's right. We started off in Mark's post-Cheremshina career. As people may be aware, he was the accompanist for Cheremshina for close to 9 or 10 years. And then when they went their separate ways in about 91, he approached me if I was interested in joining him in forming some sort of an ensemble, and that's where the whole thing started. So in the tail end of 91, we started as a duo. In 92, we started to put the material together for the album, and we actually recorded it before the end of 92, and then later was picked up by Yevshan in 93 and released as Берег надії. Originally, the title was just Pryvit, and the idea of the album was to welcome a newly liberated Ukraine, and the lyrics basically reflect that. And that was the whole premise of our original approach. We had been doing folkloric things and traditional Ukrainian things for a long, long time, and I, for one, wanted to step a little bit outside of that because we kept getting the same material repeated either in a Zabava band format or in a folkloric trio format or in a choral arrangement with a whole choir doing it. But it was always the same 200 or so songs, and I think our parents and our forefathers were so interested in preserving the Ukrainian culture that they were afraid of letting anything new in. So our premise when we started the album in 92, and it's kind of stayed with us till now, is to put out original Ukrainian music with a Ukrainian spirit, feel, and lyrics, but to go with the music that we grew up here in North America with a more North American feel to it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was the gist of what drove us to create the first album.
Mm-hmm. Who did the music for you? Did you do your own music, your own accompaniment?
On the first album, we were lucky to get the services of Bill Kenow, who used to play with Veselka, which was a wedding band, as a Baba band in Montreal, who's a very talented recording technician, arranger, sound man, and all-around very, very talented musician. He plays both accordion, keyboards, bass guitar, and guitar. And he did the recording for us, and he also did the accompanying music that came with bass, synthesizer, some acoustic guitar, and even some background vocals on the album. Mm-hmm. We also were able to obtain the services of Tino Papa, who was the drummer of probably the second best-known band from Montreal after Rushnichok, Siniste Pio, and then later the subsequent outgrowth of that band, which was called Vechirny Dzin. And he was gracious enough to play drums for us on the album and do some other help in the studio. And then we hired outside musicians. We hired a cello player. Elizabeth Hahi was gracious enough to do all the piano and arranging for us for the piano. Ivan Zavada, a very, very talented violinist who's now in Australia, he did a lot of the other arrangements, and he also provided all the violin on the album. We're lucky to get a core of people to perform with us on the album, including Shnurivsky, who was the lead guitar player for a band in Montreal called Burlakia.
Okay, I've heard of them a long time ago, back in the 80s.
That's right.
Now, so did these people come back with you for Zaklикання now? Did you get some of these same people to help you out?
No, simply because everybody has commitments now. We were a lot younger and freer, so it was impossible to draw all these people together. The expense of hiring musicians was just out of our financial budget. So all the music on this recording is computerized. Is programmed with...
Really?
Yes. There's no live music on this. It's all programmed.
You do live gigs, though, and so you have, I mean, I've seen you on YouTube, and you've got guitars and stuff.
We just have one
keyboards.
When we perform, it's guitar and vocals.
That's it?
That's it. We now perform occasionally after this recording. We have the musical tracks for the album, so when we do those tracks, we perform with the background music, but we just play guitar and 3 vocals.
Wow. Amazing what technology can do.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And what's even more amazing is all the programming was done in Ukraine.
Wow.
And we were connected to Bogdan Krinetsky. He comes from the village of Truskavets. And he was doing the music for Oksana Senkyu for her album. And she was gracious enough to say, well, look, if you're looking for musicians, why don't you ask Bogdan if he would do it for you? And my response was, great idea, thank you very much, but neither Mark nor I can score music. We do everything by either using a digital recorder and then memorizing the parts and recreating the harmonies that way and the music and the chords. So she said, well, why don't I come down to a couple of your practices? I'll do the scoring or the notation for you. You'll record a demo, digital MP3 for him. We'll send the whole thing out to him through the email, and that's how we did every song.
Wow.
We would send him the lyrics. We would send him a digital rough take of the song, along with a sheet with the scoring, the notation, and everything on it. To him, he would come up with the music after us suggesting possibly the style and the instruments we would like to have used on it. He was just amazing in how he read what we wanted. Without him, this would not have happened.
Wow. Well, it's a great collaboration between Ukraine and Canada.